Welcome everyone to the TDG assessment and competency and understanding the proposed changes from Transport Canada. My name is Tracey Thibeau. I'm the Senior Safety Consultant for Danatech. Thank you for joining us today. I took my first dangerous goods course in 1984 when I worked for Air Canada. My last 17 years with Air Canada, I was an acceptance agent. So I have a bit of background, especially in the air mode. I worked the last part of my career with Air Canada in cargo. I retired in 2001. 2001, they gave me a retirement, and I started my own business in Nova Scotia. So I taught all three modes of transport: ground, air, and water, and also women's courses. In 2003, I went to Miami for a dangerous goods seminar, and I took I had a 3-day instructor course, and they asked me to become an instructor for them, and I still am registered with them. My first course was 3 weeks in Nairobi, Kenya, teaching 600 flight attendants and flight crew an awareness course for Kenya Airways. After that, I started my own business, like I said, and what happened then is in Nova Scotia, I trained from the year 2002 up, and I used the Danatech products. Then in 2010, the Eastern Canadian representative for Danatech retired, and I assumed his job. So I was the representative selling Danatech's products in Eastern Canada. I loved them. And then in 2014, I moved from Nova Scotia and became a full-time employee with Danatech here in Edmonton, and I'm teaching courses for them. So our co-presenter today is Victor Chin. If you have any questions, please submit them, and we'll get through them when we can. Transport Canada did their first set of regulations in 1985, and that was because of the accident in Mississauga. And so it took them 6 years, they put it together, and there's been changes ever since. Our history in 1985, Danatech published their first TDG self-teach training book. And in 2000, Danatech developed their first online training course. And in 2002, when clear language was adopted, Danatech was invited to the forum in Ottawa. In 2010, Danatech rebuilt their product line, TDG, and at the present time, we have TDG regulations, online courses, self-teach, and we're continuing to make changes to that. And without any doubt, when this seminar is over, and if there's any changes being made to the TDG regulations, we'll be making sure we make changes to it. In 2015, Danatech celebrated their 35th anniversary, and they went with collaboration to Yardstick, and now we're Danatech Yardstick training. We will be having a TDG Train the Trainer course October the 28th, 29th, and 30th in Calgary. So if anybody's interested, please get in touch with either myself or Danatech in Calgary. I do travel a lot training throughout Canada and the United States. I enjoy it. And if anybody has any questions after this, please contact me. What is adequate training? Adequate training was brought out by the first set of regulations in Part 6, and it's very vague. So Transport Canada wants to change that now, and ICAO is adopting the competency-based training, and it will take place in probably 2021. So now employers are going to be held accountable to complete the function-specific training. Again, Victor will be assisting me at the end of this with any questions, so please submit them whenever you can. What are the proposed changes? Changes to the definition of adequate training, change to requirements for general awareness training. So there's going to be two parts, awareness and function-specific training. Change to knowledge evaluation and format. When are the changes going to be implemented? Well, the public review that was sent out in August now will be completed on October the 24th. The next meeting in Ottawa, and I'm on that committee, the Canadian General Standards Board Committee, it's going to be on December the 3rd and the 4th. After that, we'll take the vote and it will be implemented and then sent to Gazette for printing. And usually it's a year after or 6 months after that it becomes law. So there will be some changes. How will this impact the employer or self-employed? Function-specific training and verified employees' knowledge and comprehension. Competency-based training and assessment standard is now the minimum requirement for training. Subcontractors are validated as competent to the new standard. Training records now will be a little bit more elaborate. There will be things that has to be done to the training records. How will this impact the employees? Well, the employees now there will be a minimum standard of training that must be taking place. And then what happens next? Danatech by Yardstick training, our role on the CGSB board, on online courses and products, and client engagement plans. What if I have more questions? Danatech, please contact us at the customer care or your account manager, or contact myself. I'll have my contact information throughout this webinar. What are the proposed changes to Part 6? Part 6, the changes released in August the 26th. Adequate training will be changed is too subjective and open for interpretation. So there will be two functions that must be done to the training. It's awareness and function-specific training. So everyone who handles, transports dangerous goods or loads dangerous goods must have awareness training. And then people that do the actual documentation, selecting means of containments, they will have the function-specific training. Other changes to the course and format, general awareness training requirements, minimum time requirements. So there will be for the awareness training, the proposal is a minimum of 2 hours and also a minimum of 25 questions. When will the changes be implemented? As I said earlier, the public review period is completed on October the 24th, the closing date for public input. The Canadian General Standards Board, their next meeting, our meeting on the 3rd and 4th of December, and then they'll send it to publication in Gazette 2. And again, that timeline could be anywhere from 6 months to a year. How will this impact employers and self-employed people? New requirements for employers. The employer shall ensure that the task descriptions and performance criteria are developed and maintained. The worker's competency is now that will have to be done. So there will be an assessment process, subcontracted personnel, their competency, and this is going to be one of the contentions that is out there. What we'll have to decide is how the employers will ensure that the subcontractors' competency is there. So third-party facilities and agreements. Again, is general awareness and function-specific training that corresponds with their assigned duties. Acceptable forms of training is the online. So forms of training that can include but are not limited to self-study, online, classroom, and on the job. There's 5 annexes that goes with the proposal. The types of assessment methods are written examination, structured interview, demonstration, simulation, and collection of evidence. So this will all be ironed out when it finally becomes law, that everything happens, that you have all the tools to be able to train your people for the awareness training and function-specific training. When we get to Annex A, this is the employer's responsibility for training and assessment. There is a flow chart that is put out. This is similar to the flow chart that ICAO has that will be passed down through ICAO and an IATA, International Air Transport Association. So that's transporting dangerous goods by air. So the new hire he can handle or she can handle dangerous goods, shipping it, packaging and everything, as long as they're in direct supervision of someone who is trained. Then the training conducts. If you're not going to be with someone who is under direct supervision, the flow chart goes right down and tells you, okay, if they pass, they move on, and they keep moving on until they issue a certificate after they take the exam and the assessment of competency. So this flow chart will be a very good piece of information that the employer can use. Training requirements, okay. Everyone has to keep in mind that a lot of these changes are minute, but they are going towards the assessment, evaluation of the assessment. Recurrent training for ground is 36 months, and the recurrent training by air is 24 months. So those things will not change. Annex C is a general awareness training and outcomes, and this is the awareness training that there is a flow chart or some type of learning topics that is proposed for the employer. And Annex D, there's a table, and it's very, if anybody has read the draft, it is very comprehensive, but what you have to do as the employer is pick all the competency outcomes of this table D1, and this is for shipping dangerous goods by road, rail, and marine. Function-specific training, what employers need to verify regarding training and competency, the content, the tasks, means of containment, the box or parcel that they're shipping out, transport management, unloading dangerous goods, and ERAP. So nothing really has changed in that respect. They're still going to have the same duties. It's going to be to what their specific duties that they do. Annex E is the competency for the transportation of dangerous goods by air. Similar thing, that they follow all these competency situations where you have E1, E2, E3. So it would be for documentation, means of containment. So they're going along the same route as before. There's just going to be assessment and competency that will be assessed. Potential impacts on Canadian businesses. This will be determined. Small businesses, the idea there, financial resources, administration, hiring third-party training and assessment services. Large businesses will have that same impact, and it will, but you just keep in mind that you're going to be doing this for the people that are shipping out the dangerous goods and handling them. Questions from the pre-webinar survey. Do existing trained employees need any additional training, a refresher to be compliant? Will Danatech be creating any additional training that existing training employees can take to increase their level of knowledge? And yes, once the final Gazette 2 has been presented, we will look at what needs to be done, and we will change all our training materials to ensure that everyone has the tools to do the job. Will any of my employees need to retake TDG? Right now, at the present time, there's nothing in this program that says that they have to. It will depend on how long before their TDG certificate expires. If it expires in, say, a month, no, they can wait that month probably. But again, this is something that will be decided at the meeting and on December the 3rd and the 4th. Will concurrent training certificate be grandfathered until it expires? And this is another thing that we'll have to hash out to find out what is going to happen if someone has just taken the training, say 6 months ago. Okay, the other 2.5 years, will they have to be retrained? This will be something that will have to be looked at by Transport Canada and the CGSB board to find out what is going to be done there. How will companies have to change the TDG training certificates? I'm sure there's going to be some changes to the certificate, the way it looks, and there probably will be a place for the employer to sign like it does now, but also who trained the employees. There'll probably be that there, but again, this has not been decided yet. Wonder if these changes will impact access to online training or require additional measures. Danatech will make the changes to our online training to reflect what the outcome of the new TDG changes to Part 6. Question number 6. Currently, I'm using the self-teach books. To do the training for my employees. Will this have to change? Again, you'll have to make the changes subject to the changes that's made to Part 6. And as the company Danatech, we will make our changes to all our TDG products. Will there be a grace period? And again, this is the same question that was asked earlier. The grace period will not be decided until the meeting on December the 3rd and the 4th. And then that will be very beneficial to everyone to find out how long they have to, if there are going to be changes. How can I validate the competency of an instructor that I hire to train my employees? Perform my due diligence. Your due diligence, it's something like the due diligence you have right now. It's your, as the employer, you have to ensure that the instructor who does the TDG training for your employees, that you do your due diligence to ensure that whoever you hire has the experience in the TDG world. Transport Canada has been talking about this for a while. Yes, they have. And I really think that it's going to be pushed through. There's going to be a lot of changes that will help the employees to be competent and the employers to do the assessment of the employers when they're doing their job. How will employers be trained on all the changes? We'll have to look at that once the changes have been made, and we'll find out if there is demand and if we will be putting out a course for all the changes, or just if everybody is good with the changes that do take place, they can make their own assessment of that. Question number 10 that was submitted earlier, what about contractors that I hire? How do I make sure that they have been completely trained, competently trained, sorry. Do I also have to validate their instructor? Again, this will be decided by the CGSB board after the December 3rd and 4th, and all this will be relayed to everyone once this is decided. How will this impact the employees? There is going to be a minimum 2 hour of evaluation and assessed according to the standard. Task descriptions and performance criteria are developed and maintained for assessment of competencies. Each person performs their task according to the assigned task descriptions. Persons who handle, offer for transport, or transport dangerous goods are competent. So this is going to be one of the words that is going to be used a lot. And it's like I say, it's coming down from ICAO in early 2020, 21. The persons who handle, offer, transport, or dangerous goods are provided with general awareness and function-specific training that corresponds with the assigned tasks. What can employees expect in terms of ongoing recurrent retraining? Road, rail, marine, and vessel will still be 36 months, and air will be 24 months. So there will be recurrent training, and the assessment will be done as per the earlier 3 years or the 2 years that was there. Next steps, account manager follow-up. Sign up for our Train the Trainer course in Calgary. We have a TDG Train the Trainer course on the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And this includes manual, session fees, and regulations. So we'll be able to talk about everything that is upcoming. Part 6, update communication. Canadian General Standards Board Committee meetings and Gazette 2. Once it's completed and it's become law, then we'll make all the necessary changes to our TDG products. What if I have more questions? A post-webinar survey will be provided after this webinar ends. It's one more opportunity to ask questions, but it's not the only one. You will be receiving a recording of this webinar via email. And if you have any other questions, please contact me. And here's my telephone number and my email address. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your participation in this TDG webinar. If you have any questions, please let us know. So we'll now have the Q&A, and this will come from Victor.
Having some audio issues. So one of the questions that was submitted is, I do not see a lot of changes for TDG ground. We use the Danatech method, which I believe covers the requirements.
Yes, it does. What we'll have to look at is after the Gazette 2, if there's going to be any other things that are there. But you still will be able to use the TDG online, the TDG self-teach, classroom training. It's already been discussed in the draft.
Do we need to redo our Train the Trainer course for these changes?
You can update that, yes. Again, I'll be having more TDG Train the Trainer once the final draft has been released. And if anybody has any questions, if they've just taken a Train the Trainer course, I'll ensure that they have all the tools to complete the changes that Transport Canada is putting out.
Is the webinar being recorded? Will it be available to view at another time? I've lost the sound on my computer, which makes this harder to follow.
Yes, we'll be sending the recorded version of this out to everyone who registered. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your continued support over the years and for choosing Danatech by Yardstick Training as your compliance expert. Please get a hold of me if you have any questions. Thank you.